This idea of extending a helping hand to our neighbor in any possible way became known as Bayanihan, from the Filipino word bayan, which means hero.
I mentioned the concept of Bayanihan in a prior episode, and I wasn't sure if I was pronouncing it right, and I didn't. I'm hoping I pronounce it right. Is Bayanihan, Bayanihan, is the word. I don't know what that means, but I just recognize that it's there. Well, now I know how it's pronounced, and now I know what it means, so making progress here.
And examples of the Bayanihan spirit can be seen all throughout Philippine history. From tragic wars, natural disasters, and other calamities that the country has faced, it's the Bayanihan spirit that Filipinos have counted on to keep them going. Filipinos being heroes to one another to help their brothers and sisters in their community, expecting nothing in return.
Obviously, this is a statement that's painting the Filipino people in very broad strokes. I agree with it for most people, for most Filipinos I've personally met. Absolutely true. But I also think that that is oversimplifying the history of the Philippines, and clearly not everyone in the Philippines is that way. For Filipino American History Month, I am going to cover President Ferdinand Marcos and his group and that situation with martial law. And clearly that's not a situation where the Bayanihan spirit prevailed. And I know that's not the only situation in the Philippines where there's not other Filipinos keeping people down. So I'm sure that's a very complicated question as to why does it continue to be a developing country rather than a leading country? Because if I look back at what we've been talking about so far, I see that Austronesians, they were a technologically advanced society, being very progressive and in their time and in their day. What happened? That's what Moana asks that. Why did we stop? Where did the history take another turn? My hypothesis is that it could have been when the Philippines was conquered by Spain and then the United States, and then has tried to have to forge its own identity among a lot of competing ideas on what that should be. But I'm new to the history, and that's something I'm going to explore. But so far, yeah, I'd say that this part of the video is the one where I say, I agree, but I know it's more complicated than that.
Today, the Bayanihan spirit lives on, expressed in many unique ways by modern Filipinos in the archipelago, as well as in distant foreign shores. Why do you think so many Filipinos want a job that involves helping others?
This is another question where I think on the surface it sounds very nice, but I think the answer is more complicated than Bayanihan. And I don't know what the answer is, but I think it's more complicated than just that, because I do think, while it's fascinating that the Philippines has one of the largest diaspora in the world, why is that? Is that a good thing? Questions. These are questions I have. This was a clip from my podcast, the Part Filipino Podcast, which you can find here on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. I hope you join in.